In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. This week, I've been playing Warhammer 40K Squad Command on the DS. Now let's have a look at how this turns into this. Unlike Dawn of War, Squad Command is turn-based, and you have just 6 Space Marine units at your disposal for each of the 15 missions in the game. Each unit has a certain number of action points which you spend to move and shoot in your turn. With shooting, there is a gauge to show you if you have line of sight and how likely you are to hit at that range. With each shot, you can add AP to the base cost of firing your weapon to increase your accuracy over distance. You can also set Overwatch, where you choose to leave AP in reserve at the end of your turn, so if an enemy moves into your attack cone in their turn, they will trigger an attack of opportunity. Unlike the tabletop version, Squad Command is not overly complex, but on a portable console I don't think I'd want it to be. It still keeps the awesome fundamentals of this kind of gameplay intact, and you will be making the same core decisions about strategy as you would be with greater and more varied resources to hand. You'll be asking yourself which positions are key on the map, whether you should split your squad to try to divert or flank your enemy, and how much you can sacrifice before you run the risk of failing your objective. If anything, decisions on a tactical level, such as how to split your AP between movement and shooting, become far more crucial as each of your units is so much more valuable in this small squad-based play. The game is available on both PSP and DS, and while the gameplay is the same in both versions, then the PSP one has much better graphics, and you also get animated cutscenes between the missions. Also, the widescreen really helps, as you can see a lot more of the battlefield at any one go. But it's not all bad news for DS fans. The dual screen means you can keep your tactical map open at all times, which does really help. Now, enemies don't appear on the map until they're within your squaddie's field of vision, which stops you from using player knowledge over character knowledge. Although you will suspect that the computer doesn't draw this distinction for its own forces. Cool as the game is, there are some irksome mechanical issues. My main objection is the camera work. It doesn't automatically adjust to show your enemy's movements on their turn, even if they start attacking your squad or trigger an Overwatch response, so you'll have to chase the sound of gunfire with the camera yourself. Also, sometimes you won't be able to see what your men can, as buildings can get in the way of the overhead camera. And it isn't always obvious before you move which terrain you can walk over or how you'll be able to line up in partial cover to best angle your circle of influence through gaps and windows, particularly if a wall becomes invisible after you move behind it. Until you get used to it, you'll waste valuable AP on tweaking your position after your initial movement. My best advice for playing? Don't use the stylus. It was infuriating and incredibly easy to misdirect. The D-pad is fine for control, but I wish you could remove the stylus select buttons, which take up valuable screen space. The missions and maps, while fun to play, are not altogether dissimilar from each other either, although the difficulty level does increase throughout. It's also a bit frustrating only being able to play Space Marines and only against Chaos, although we can live in hope that they will bring out expansions for other armies too. And the level of customization isn't great. You can't even choose the base colour for your army, which is a little bit of a poke in the eye for all those of us who have spent hours and hours and hours coming up with that perfect colour scheme for our miniatures. To keep things balanced, your unit types and primary weapons are pre-selected for each mission, but you do get to choose your secondary weapon and whether you want to trade AP for extra ammo. And you get to use cool units and weapons as you work your way through, starting with scouts with bolters and ending up with dreadnoughts and land raiders. There's also a really cool multiplayer mode which supports Wi-Fi Connect. Now this limits your turns to 90 seconds each, so it gives you a very different feel of game. Now some of the implementation issues are going to be a hindrance to this title, and the DS definitely suffers from the smaller screen and poorer graphics. But that said, turning 40K into such an accessible, portable game is a real achievement, and even once you've exhausted the single-player missions, then the multiplayer game will provide you with hours of entertainment. 3 stars. And THQ, if you're listening, please make a Dark Eldar version soon.
Greetings, dear friends, it's Stephen here, and I just wanted to tell you about the new QI Interactive DVD, Strictly Come Dancing. It's simply the most outstanding DVD game you'll ever see. It's packed with jokes, incredible factoids, a hand called Leroy, and it features a chap called Alan Davis. Interesting? Quite so. Just click away. You know you want to.